Rose, a powerful boss, discovered that her husband, David, was having an affair with her best friend, Amy. Furious, she planned to divorce him but was drugged from behind. In her panic, she encountered Jack and they spent a passionate night together. David's mother, upon learning that her son was cornered by reporters at a hotel, sought help from Rose. Little did she know, it was all orchestrated by Rose herself. Enraged, the mother-in-law tried to scold Rose only to have coffee splashed on her face. Rose retorted with authority, "Now it's my turn to kick your son out." Rose froze David's bank accounts, forcing him to rely on Amy to pay for their hotel rendezvous. Humiliated, the two conspired to teach Rose a lesson by drugging her water. However, Rose saw through their plan and poured the water on David, then proceeded to beat him and his accomplice to a pulp. When Jack arrived, he found that Rose didn't need saving and instead gave David a taste of his own medicine. David's grandfather invited Rose to a banquet to win back her favor. Jack warned Rose that the banquet was a trap but promised to help her. Rose, however, was confident in her own abilities and declined his assistance. Later, as Amy and David engaged in a public display of affection, Rose and Jack were forced to hide together in a closet, creating an unexpectedly intimate moment. David's grandfather, trying to gain Rose's forgiveness, publicly chastised David, but Rose saw through his act and refused to budge. She played a video showing David in bed with another man, exposing his infidelity and bisexuality. To avoid the press, Jack took Rose to his home, where he had even prepared clothes for her, including intimate apparel. Jack proposed marriage, offering to help Rose finalize her divorce from David. Rose declined, explaining that her first marriage was out of gratitude, and she didn't want her second to be a mere transaction. Jack, however, whispered seductively, "Marriage is about more than that." Then he kissed her. Startled, Rose pushed him away, accidentally dropping her robe, leaving Jack flustered. He excused himself to prepare food. After tasting Jack's cooking, Rose couldn't help but praise him. To her surprise, Jack had already obtained David's signature on the divorce papers. As a token of thanks, Rose gave Jack a piece of land he was bidding for and left her contact information on a mirror. A bombshell announcement followed. A billionaire publicly declared that Rose was his granddaughter and would inherit his entire fortune. However, Rose showed little interest in this revelation. She stated that her sole focus was to destroy David's family. To achieve this, she decided to collaborate with Jack, who teasingly demanded a reward. Rose calmly replied that she would ensure he profited handsomely, maintaining a strictly businesslike demeanor. The two held a joint press conference, but Rose's uncle sabotaged her by poaching her male artists out of jealousy over her inheritance. Jack countered by bringing in Steve, a top-tier celebrity, to save the day. During a gala, Jack's so-called fiancé appeared. Observing their closeness, Rose linked arms with Steve and took her seat, only for Jack to sit beside her instead. Ignoring him, Rose chatted with Jack's fiancé about potential collaborations. Later, Jack snatched Rose's drink and whisked her away. Drunkenly, Rose touched Jack's face and complimented his handsomeness. Jack leaned in for a kiss, but she pushed him away, calling him a fickle scoundrel. Rose returned to her company, only to find top actor Steve pressing her against her desk. Rose teased him lightly, "A top-tier celebrity like you getting into a scandal with a fallen heiress like me wouldn't sound too great." Steve replied candidly, "You deserve a better man." Rose dismissed his comment as a way to curry favor for resources and patted his head playfully. At that moment, Jack walked in and witnessed the scene, storming out in anger. To make amends with Jack, Rose dressed elegantly and attended his charity banquet, declaring, "I'm here just for you." While Jack was secretly pleased, he feigned indifference and quipped, "You could have at least called me first." Rose, feeling wronged, explained, "I don't even have your number." Jack then dialed her phone and invited her for a drink. Their conversation was interrupted by Jack's brother, who tried to convince Rose to cooperate with him but was rejected outright. Infuriated, he insulted Rose, accusing her of seducing men to climb the ranks. Calmly, Rose responded, "I'm even better at fighting men." With that, she nearly crushed his hand. To protect her grandfather's legacy, Rose decided to take control of the family business. Her uncle lashed out at her mother, but the imposter coldly vowed to ensure Rose's downfall. The next day, Rose found Jack reeking of alcohol. He had been punished by his family for protecting her. Feeling sorry for him, Rose asked if he truly liked her. Jack answered with a passionate kiss. The next morning, he woke up to find that Rose had thoughtfully prepared breakfast for him, though her poor cooking nearly made him sick. Jack expressed concerns about Rose's decision to take over the company, warning her about the schemes of her uncle and mother. However, Rose stood firm, refusing to rely on Jack for protection and insisting on resolving the issues herself. The disagreement left them at odds. Steve invited Rose out for dinner, where she drank herself into a stupor.
Steve then sent her room number to Rose's mother.
That night, Rose felt someone touch her face and instinctively pinned the person down, only to realize it was Jack. Embarrassed, she had entered the wrong room. Their awkward moment was interrupted by a scream from the next room. A man was trying to strangle Amy in Rose's room. Jack arrived in time to subdue the attacker, making Rose realize that someone was plotting to eliminate her. To ensure Rose's safety, her assistant arranged a new hotel for her but accidentally booked her into the same room as Jack. Feeling uneasy, Rose refused to stay. Misunderstanding her reaction, Jack thought she hated him and left dejectedly. Rose chased after him, only for Jack to pin her against his car and kiss her passionately. Rose was not a helpless damsel. She swiftly launched a counterattack against her uncle, ousting him from the board. Unexpectedly, Rose's mother had become Jack's grandfather's secret lover and used her influence to strip Jack of his power, temporarily rendering him unable to assist Rose. Rose invited Jack to celebrate her initial victory. During their meeting, Rose learned of Jack's predicament and offered to retract their land deal to support him. Jack smiled and dismissed the issue, stating that his only wish was for her to become his wife. When Rose questioned why Jack didn't marry his powerful fiancée, Jack resolutely replied, "The only person I've ever considered as my wife is you." The two accidentally discovered that Rose's mother and Steve were plotting to kill her. The shocking revelation left Rose shaken. Jack comforted her, and in a moment of vulnerability, she kissed him, finally accepting her feelings. The two shared a passionate embrace. Meanwhile, Jack uncovered evidence that Rose's mother was injecting his grandfather with an addictive substance. When Jack confronted his grandfather with the truth, he was thrown out of the house. Rose, standing by Jack, boldly declared, "He's mine now." Jack joked about offering his body as a token of gratitude, only to be playfully shoved away by Rose. Eventually, they uncovered the truth. Rose's mother was an imposter, actually David's aunt. Years ago, David's grandfather had orchestrated the murder of Rose's real mother and had the aunt undergo surgery to impersonate her. When Rose learned the truth, she was devastated. The imposter coldly invited Rose to a private meeting, intending to kill her. During their confrontation, the imposter poured alcohol on Rose and attempted to set her on fire. Jack arrived just in time to rescue her, pulling her from the flames as the imposter chose to end her life by self-immolation. In the end, Rose successfully destroyed David's family. David's grandfather died in a fit of rage, and Jack regained his position as the boss of his group. Steve decided to leave the city. Before departing, he apologized to Rose and wished her happiness. When he tried to hug her, a jealous Jack intervened and reluctantly settled for an awkward hug with Steve. Finally, Rose and Jack exchanged vows in a grand wedding ceremony, beginning a new chapter in their lives together.